Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's video I will be teaching you how to crochet a very simple whale. If you have never crocheted before, I would recommend checking out my beginners playlist in the description box below. I have also linked below the PDF pattern and crochet kit for this plushie. Now let's get started. I'm going to be starting with blue yarn and I'm going to begin by making a magic ring. I'm using the chain 2 method to make my magic ring, however you can use whatever method you would like. If you've never made a magic ring before, I would recommend checking out my tutorial video. This is in my beginners playlist, which I have linked in the description. So in my magic ring, I'm going to be single crocheting 6 times. So now that I've made my magic ring, I'm going to be increasing into each of the 6 stitches, which will give me 12 stitches in my round. Just to clarify, the numbers in brackets are the number of stitches that you should have once you've finished your round. So once I've increased into each of these stitches, I should have 12 stitches in my round. So just to clarify that I am increasing into each of the 6 stitches. For the next round, I will be single crocheting into the next stitch and then increasing into the next, repeating this 6 times overall for 18 stitches in your round. So single crocheting in the first stitch and then increasing, and again single crocheting and then increasing in the next stitch, repeating this 6 times overall. For the next round, I'm going to be single crocheting in the next 2 stitches and then increasing in the next, repeating this 6 times overall for 24 stitches in your round. So single crochet once, a second time, and then increase in the 3rd stitch. So again, single crochet once, and in the next stitch, and then increase in the next, repeating this 6 times overall. For the next round, I will be single crocheting in the next 3 stitches and then increasing into the 4th stitch, repeating this 6 times overall for 30 stitches in your round. So, single crocheting once, a second time, and a 3rd time, and then increasing in the 4th stitch. And I'll show you again, single crochet in the 1st stitch, and the 2nd, and the 3rd, and then increasing in the 4th stitch. For the next round, I'm going to be single crocheting in the next 4 stitches and then increasing in the 5th stitch, repeating this 6 times overall for 36 stitches in your round. So, single crochet in the 1st stitch, and in the 2nd, and the 3rd, and the 4th, and then increase in the 5th. And again, single crochet once, twice, a 3rd time, and a 4th time, and then increase in the 5th stitch. So now we have finished all of our increasing rounds. I would recommend inserting your stitch marker here, as the next few rounds are going to just be single crocheting, and this will help you keep track of where you are. So now you have inserted your stitch marker, we will now be single crocheting into each stitch and repeating this for 3 rounds. So single crocheting in every single stitch in the round. Once you reach your stitch marker, you have done 1 round, and then repeat that 3 times overall. So just to show you, this is when I had finished my first round of single crocheting, and I will be repeating this 2 more times, so I will have 3 rounds of single crocheting. So once you have finished your 3 rounds, we will now be making the tail, and the next stitch we will be inserting our hook into the front loop only of the stitch, and I have a diagram on screen to show you which one is the front loop. So insert your hook into the front loop and slip stitch. Now from that slip stitch you will be chaining 4 times. So chain once, chain a second time, and a third time, and a 4th time. For the next step, you are going to be inserting your hook from the second chain from the hook. So you'll be skipping the first chain and inserting your hook into the second. So skipping the first and inserting into the second. So you're going to be double crocheting in the second chain from the hook. Again, if you don't know how to double crochet, that is also in my beginner's tutorial playlist. Once you have double crocheted, you will now be single crocheting into the remaining 2 chains. So single crochet into the first chain and then into the last chain. For the second fin, you are going to repeat the exact same steps you did for the first. So slip stitching into the front loop of the next stitch. And then I am chaining 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I am skipping the first chain and double crocheting into the second chain as shown. So double crochet into the second chain from the hook. And then I will be single crocheting into the remaining 2 chains. Once you have finished your 2 tail fins, insert your hook into the next stitch and slip stitch. And then cut your yarn, leaving a sort of long tail as we will be weaving this into the body. You can pull your hook all the way through and this will tie the yarn off. So now you have made the top section of your wale, and now you can remove your stitch marker as you won't be needing it anymore. For the next half of the toy, we will be working with white yarn. For the next round, we will be working in the back loops only of each stitch, and I've put that diagram back up so you can see which is the back loop. So insert your hook into the back loop only and grab your white yarn. We are now going to connect the white yarn to our toy. So this is very simple to do. Grab your white yarn and then yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over again and pull through. And now your white is connected. So now you are going to be single crocheting into each stitch of the round. Remember, you are just working in the back loops. So when you get to where the tail is, this is why we worked in the front loops only, so that the back loop of that section is available to put your hook into. So just wiggle your hook around and you'll be able to find the back loop of those stitches, and then insert your hook and single crochet. I'd recommend just tucking all of the tails into the centre of the body so that they don't get in your way. So now that we have our first round of white, for the next round we'll be single crocheting into the next 4 stitches and then decreasing. Remember, decreasing is when you join 2 stitches together to make 1. So, single crochet. You may find the first one of this round might be a little bit harder to get into. Single crochet a second time, and a third, and a fourth, and then decrease. In this tutorial, I'm using an invisible decrease, but you can just use a normal decrease. It doesn't really matter. And remember, repeat this 6 times overall for 30 stitches in your round. For the next round, we are going to be single crocheting in the next 3 stitches and then decreasing, repeating this 6 times overall for 24 stitches in your round. So, single crochet first time, and a second, and a third, and then decrease. And again, single crochet once, twice, and a third time, and then decrease. For the next round, we will be single crocheting in the next 2 stitches and then decreasing, repeating this 6 times overall for 18 stitches in your round. So, single crochet a first time, and a second, and then decrease. And again, single crochet once, twice, and then decrease, repeating this 6 times overall. So now we are going to pause and insert our eyes. When you are inserting your eyes, try to make sure that the tail sort of sits evenly between the eyes at the back of the toy. I'm inserting my eyes roughly 4 to 5 stitches apart. However, you can insert them wherever you'd like. You can insert them a bit higher, a bit lower, a bit further apart. It just depends what look you are going for. Once you are happy with your eye placement, grab the backs of the yarns and just gently snap them on. You should hear 2 or 3 clicks when you do this. Now, before we start again, I would recommend stuffing your whale. So now that we are done with our eyes and our stuffing, insert your hook back into the yarn and just gently pull the tail and it will close back around your hook. For the next round, we will be single crocheting in the next stitch and then decreasing, repeating 6 times overall for 12 stitches in your round. So, single crochet and decrease. I'm struggling to decrease here apparently. And then single crochet again, and then decrease. There we go, repeating this 6 times overall for 12 stitches in your round. For the final round, we will be decreasing into each stitch. This will give us 6 stitches overall. Once you are done, I'd recommend just adding a small amount of stuffing to the bottom. This gives the whale a more rounded look. However, if you would like it to be a bit more flatter, then I would skip this step. I'm actually doing this before I've finished my round of decreases, just so the hole isn't too small. So I'm inserting my hook back into the yarn and just continuing with my 6 decreases. Once you have finished your 6 decreases, you can now cut your yarn tail. And now gently pull the hook and this will tie off the yarn. Now we will be sewing the bottom up, so grab your needle and insert the yarn into the eye of the needle. So now you'll be inserting your needle into the closest stitch on the left and pulling it all the way through. You'll be repeating this for all 6 stitches. So inserting your needle, pulling all the way through, inserting your needle and pull through. Once you've done this for all 6 stitches, gently pull the yarn to close the body. And then what I like to do is I like to weave the needle through the body and then cut it off. For a bit of extra security, sometimes I will make a knot and then I will cut the tail. And then using my needle, I will just push that knot into the body. So now we'll be making the fins, and the fins are made along the join line of the blue and white. So what you'll be doing is along the join line, you'll be inserting your hook roughly 3 to 4 stitches away from the tail fins. Grab your blue yarn and we will yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through again, kind of like how we joined the white to the body. And then single crochet into the exact same stitch 4 times. So single crocheting 4 times into the exact same stitch that you just inserted your hook into. Once you are done, skip a stitch and then slip stitch into the next stitch. So skip 1 stitch and then slip stitch into the stitch next to that one. Once you have slip stitch, cut a long yarn tail. Pull your hook through and this will tie off the fin. Now flip your wale over and we will be doing the exact same for the other side. So insert your hook roughly 3 to 4 stitches away from the eye this time. Grab your blue yarn. Yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over again and pull through, and then single crochet 4 times into that exact same stitch. And now you will skip 1 stitch and then insert your hook into the next stitch and slip stitch. And then cut a long yarn tail. So now we will be weaving all of our yarn tails from the fins into the body. So grab your needle and insert the yarn tail into the needle. And then insert your needle into the next stitch on the body and pull through. And then weave through to another nearby stitch and then cut off. And I will be doing the exact same thing for each of the remaining yarn tails. So insert the yarn tail into your needle, insert it into the next stitch on the body, and then insert it into another stitch and then pull through the body. Once I've weaved all of my yarn tails through, I'm cutting off all of my yarn tails. I don't believe I showed this, but make sure you do the exact same weaving method for the tail that was left by the back fins. And now you have made your little chubby whale. Thank you so much for watching and make sure to like and subscribe.